This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, football fans. My name is Ricky Widmer, and I'm joined by the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
You're listening to the Onside Kick. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And Mark, we got a big podcast today as Todd McShay last week.
We're just squeezing this one in at the last minute.
I had a feeling that he was going to come out with another mock draft. This was kind of a surprise, but it was like a kid on Christmas morning. Like I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm like, somebody's got a new mock draft.
I like mock drafts. It's going to be next Wednesday, and they're going to come out with mock draft 6.0.
However, before we get to the mock draft, we have a special announcement to make. Our sports movie bracket has come to an end, and everybody can get down because Space Jam is the best sports movie.
Literally
of all time.
Everybody, because it got every single vote.
It did. Caddyshack didn't get a single vote. Not a chance. That's
what I called. I said, whoever won between Space Jam and The Natural was going to win the whole thing. They're going to take it home.
Oh, not just that. I would even say...
Well, we said from pretty much the beginning.
Not Space Jam and The Natural. Space Jam Moneyball. That was the big matchup.
That's what it was, yeah.
Space Jam Moneyball was the big matchup. But you called it at the beginning. When we put the bracket together, you were like, Space Jam's winning it.
It can't not. It can't not win.
However, I did not see the Mighty Ducks getting upset in the Final Four. I thought we were going to have a 90s throwdown with Space Jam and Emilio Estevez and the Mighty Ducks going a little knuckle puck action, but it wasn't meant to be. Space Jam takes the crown against Caddyshack. Let's dive into this mock draft now,
for sure.
'Cause I can't wait. The top 4 picks for Todd McShay. He's got Winston, Mariota, Donta Fowler Jr. to the Jaguars, Amari Cooper to the Raiders. The first point we're going to get to, though, Shane Ray, 5 to the Redskins. Now, he made this mock draft before the recent news of Shane Ray joining Randy Gregory in the pot-smoking community. And there's a chance Shane Ray could fall now.
That's what some people want to say. I will say one thing. He probably can fall a little bit, much like Randy Gregory's going to fall. Although I feel like this actually helps both of them. Because once it's not just the one guy that got in trouble for this, it makes it a little bit like, oh, okay. Like, both these guys got in trouble. They both play the same position, too, so that helps out a little bit in that case. But I saw, this one made me mad. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheMarkWeber, and you'll see something like this. I don't remember actually who posted it specifically, but someone said something about Randy Gregory possibly falling to the 4th round.
I saw that. I saw your
that
tweet
made me
about
mad.
that.
That made me mad because there's no way ever that Shane Ray is anywhere near the 4th round. I don't care if he got caught smoking it up. He's got some cocaine under the nose. I don't care what it is.
I don't know. The cocaine may be a little too far.
How many NFL players do cocaine? I guarantee a good amount.
I have no idea.
I'm willing to bet a good amount.
But I'll tell you one who doesn't.
A lot of guys with a lot of money.
I'll tell you one who doesn't.
Who's that?
Tim Tebow.
That's probably true. Probably true. Can't say for sure. I can't say 100%.
I think he doesn't.
I think there's a possibility.
He's a good Christian boy. Good Christian morals.
I just say you got all these people with a lot of money. You know, what else are you going to do? You get bored during the offseason.
Hey, Shane Ray don't have money yet.
Yeah, but he's going to get it. But isn't that the weird thing, though? Like, all these players, they don't have that money yet, but they spend a lot of money. I don't know if they're getting advances from who? The agent? I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I don't care what it is. Shane Ray's going to play really hard on Sundays. He's going to make whichever team drafts him better. You don't let this guy get in the 2nd round. Now, you might be happy if you're like, I don't know, the Titans or the Redskins or something. You're sitting there at the top of the 2nd round. You're like, oh, please. Let this guy fall.
To the 2nd.
Yeah, let this guy get into the 2nd. That would be great. I'm not saying that's going to happen because I think he goes in the 1st anyways.
He's a top 10 talent.
Exactly.
He's a top 10 talent. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like nowadays, and I'm going to compare it to what's going on in baseball right now. There was a trade that happened, I want to say it was last night, with Josh Hamilton getting traded back to the Rangers from the Angels and everything that's going on with him and his relapse. I feel like, and you could even throw Manziel and the Browns in there too, with his, where he went to rehab for his issues. I feel like some teams something like this isn't going to be a huge deal breaker.
For sure.
It's not like something where, for example, the Greg Hardy stuff that went on, where he had all the stuff and why the Panthers got rid of him. Then he got in an altercation with a teammate. He's suspended for a good chunk of the season. It's not like the Ray Rice, the Adrian Peterson scandals.
Definitely.
And I'm calling them scandals because it kind of left a taint on their legacies in some people's minds.
And the team as well that they're associated with. Yeah, this is definitely
So bad to where the Ravens just said, screw it, we're done.
Yeah. And I think this is a situation where if you're a GM or a coach, you're sitting there and you might not know every single player and what they do, but you know that there's a good amount of your players that smoke weed, drink too much, do other drugs, cheat, gamble, whatever it is. You know that some of these players have some issues. You might not care exactly what it is. And some GMs probably care more than others. But I think you sit there and you have to evaluate how much does talent matter. And I'm not comparing, all these things saying they're all equal. I think what he did isn't really all that bad, especially in comparison to what a lot of other athletes do.
In comparison to, let's say, the Ray Rice or the Adrian Peterson situation, nowhere near as bad. Am I saying what he did was right? No, I am not, because the only thing that kind of irritates me about this is you see Shane Ray, and some of the tweets I've seen is like, I feel bad for his mom because I just saw him on Draft Academy. And even on First Take, he's like, yeah, man, I ain't going to do nothing to screw this up. I've got to do everything right, got to stay in the right situation. And then you do something like this, which hey, this could hurt my image and could hurt my draft stuff.
But an interesting thing about that, and I don't want to get into the whole socio and political conversations of marijuana, but this is the thing where a lot of people, especially people coming straight out of college at a big school, smoking weed is nothing. People walk down campus, eating pop brownies or smoking weed or however it is they might, conceal it depending on how lax those colleges are. So for some of these people, it's no big deal. And especially when you're someone like Shane Ray, top guy at Mizzou, nobody's going to stop Shane Ray if they see him walking down with a joint in his mouth.
I'm gonna compare it to something else where, and most of it's kind of to go off what you said. Right now, these guys, are they professionals? No, they're college kids still. And the one thing I had to go through it, you had to go through it a little bit now because both of us, I'm a teacher, you're studying to be a teacher. And as I got to the end of my college career, teachers really looked at it and college professors were like, you know what? You gotta watch a little bit what you do. How about go back on your Facebook and delete some stuff?
For sure.
Delete some stuff that potential employers might say, yeah, you know what? No. I'm not going to hire this guy.
Definitely. But I think even just when it comes to smoking weed, is... first of all, I just think it's kind of funny that this is a topic on our podcast. But smoking weed is one of those things where people either think it's bad or people are like, what's the big deal? You can go to a bar and get totally fucked up and get completely drunk. Nobody cares. But I can't smoke this thing that just calms me down a little bit. I'm just saying that's what the argument, not saying that I agree with it necessarily. I'm just not going to give my opinions on the matter. But so you do have people who just think this is no big deal, and you have people who think this is a horrible thing. So you have this weird situation. Obviously, Shane Ray is in this position where he's thinking, I don't care. It's not a big deal to me.
Yeah, and this is the last thing I want to say on this is without getting into the is it right, is it wrong, what you had to think about if you were Shane Ray is how would my potential employers think of this? What would they think of this?
But I think in that situation...
that thought never crossed his mind.
Exactly.
And the one thing, should it have? I'm saying yes, because I'm always... I don't want to say I'm a cautious person, but... especially later as I was looking for my first teaching job, I was very weary of, okay, this may get me in trouble. I'm not going to do this. Oh, I'm going to delete this post because I went through all my likes and anything that I liked as a high schooler that may be boom, I got rid of it. So I was like, you know what? I just want to cut it all together. And some of these guys, I'm not saying Shane Ray's one of them, because when he was on First Take, I liked him. I was kind of like, I was hoping that the Bears may draft him, even though I'm a Vikings fan, because he seemed like a kid that has a good head on his shoulders.
Oh, he's very likable for sure. I just think, he should be thinking of what his future possible employers are going to think. But I think that's one of those things too, where if you don't think this is a big deal, it's never going to occur to you of what the fact that somebody might think it's a big deal. And I think that's what the situation was. It's such a non-issue for him that he's just like, why would anybody care?
Well, let's move on to the bigger thing that I thought when this mock draft first dropped was, we've been talking for weeks now about when's the first running back going to go off the board. And everyone says there's kind of a mixture that Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon could be the first to go, but there's been a consensus that the earliest was 17. That's the earliest that we've seen up to this point. Todd McShay threw everything out the window and said, you know what? Marcus Mariota's gone. Jameis Winston's gone. Do the Jets go defense? No. They say, screw it. Let's take a running back. Todd Gurley, number 6.
It's interesting. I don't know. I don't agree with it necessarily. I think there's a lot of things on defense they should fix. The Jets are a defensive-based team. They should stick with that. Although, I mean, to have a good run game does help out the defense always. It also does help. I'm going to go ahead and say quarterback X, because does anyone really believe that Geno Smith is going to keep playing quarterback for the Jets? Quarterback X is going to be helped out quite a bit when he's got a great, probably the best running back out of this draft class. You can't really argue with it. It's not a bad pick at all by any means. It's a good pick. I think there's some other, I don't know. I would go defense in this case. But you can't really, I mean, if you're telling me, hey, you got your franchise running back for the next few years, that's a hard thing to pass up. It really is.
There's only one reason why I could possibly see this. And that reason is that the Jets have seen what Marshawn Lynch has done to make Russell Wilson what he is. Because let's be honest, Russell Wilson's not that great if he doesn't have a running back like Marshawn behind him. And if the Jets somehow say, Geno is our guy, and you know what, we're just going to give him a running back to kind of carry the load and take the pressure off him. I don't see them going that way.
Yeah, that would be a bad decision because of the Geno Smith aspect.
And like I said, in our final mock draft that we did this past weekend that dropped on Sunday, you can check out that podcast in our podcast library or YouTube channel. I said that Todd Bowles is a defensive guy. If there's 2 quarterbacks off the board, he's going to say, you know what, I'm going for my strength. I'm going to take an outside linebacker, our second need.
Plus, we're ignoring the fact that there's somebody on the board.
Kevin White.
At this pick. There's somebody else on the board at this pick. There's somebody who I have gone ahead and said is the best
Leonard
player
Williams.
in the draft.
You said Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I did say Hall of Famer. I went there. Leonard Williams on the board. I'm sitting there as the Jets. Yeah, Todd Gurley's really nice, but I kind of want the best player in the draft. He's sitting there at pick number 6 somehow. I have to go with Leonard Williams. I got to do it. That's me if I'm the Jets. But I don't see them taking a running back.
See, and there are some people, I was listening to Waddle and Sylvie, ESPN radio here in Chicago, and they had Adam Scheffler and John Clayton on the show this Monday, kind of talking about NFL draft, getting ready, the draft's here in Chicago. So obviously that show and all of Chicago radio on ESPN is kind of eating it up.
For sure.
Because we're the hub central.
We're the epicenter.
We're the epicenter of the draft this year. And the one thing John Clayton said, and it was kind of interesting, was first off, Leonard Williams, Todd McShay has him going 7th to the Bears. That's why we're going to get to Leonard right here. Where most GMs are saying, you know what, Leonard Williams isn't as good as most people think. And Clayton's like, you see that and you go, well, why are they saying this? And the reason's clear, because he's a 5 technique. This is what Clayton said. Because he's a 5 technique player, some GMs don't like that and they downgrade him a bit. So let's say on the Redskin board, he may be low, but on the bear board, on Mark's board,
He's at the top.
He's at the top.
He's way above.
And it went into a conversation, and this was more about the Bears specifically, because like I said, it was Chicago-based talk show where John Clayton said the Bears, they can go defense in the first round. They don't, even if like a Mariota's on the board or if thinking about trading up for Mariota, you don't have to do that because what you can do is if you like a guy like Petty or Hundley later in the draft, any of these spread guys that you can say, hey, let's convert him. We can take this guy and convert him to the pro style. You can do that and be beneficial rather than saying, you know what, let's trade up. Let's get Mariota. Let's start him now.
Who you also have to transfer to the pro style.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
It's Leonard Williams. It's one of those things where, coming from the Bears standpoint here, the Chicago Bears don't necessarily need a defensive end. They also, we talked about Shane Ray, Randy Gregory. One of those guys is probably going to be on the board if the Bears pick 2. The Bears also don't really necessarily need outside linebacker because they just have so many different guys at the outside linebacker. None of them are really that good, but they have so many of them that they're just taking up roster spaces, roster spots, and a lot of them are commanding a decent chunk of money too. So yeah, that's one of those situations where you do, in my mind at least, Danny Shelton's still the only option to me because he's the only guy sitting there at a position that we really don't have anybody. There's just nobody there.
And there was a name. I'm going to throw out this name to if you've heard anything about him this draft.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
Garrett Grayson.
Quarterback, right?
Yes.
I don't remember what school, but it's one of the small ones.
It is. Colorado State.
Yeah.
And John Clayton threw this name out because he's like, there are some teams that think Grayson is the third best quarterback in this draft, ahead of Petty, ahead of Hundley, ahead of guys like, I'm looking down, even like Sean Mannon, Oregon State. And you may think, why? He's from Colorado State. It's because he played in a pro-style offense.
That does a lot.
And when coming to the NFL, that's an easier transition than a guy like Zane Petty, who, yes, he's got a great arm and slung the ball all over the place at Baylor, but it was a spread system, not a pro system.
Yeah, definitely an advantage there.
That's why, like last year, I know he had a great pro day, but even Dave, who used to be on the podcast, he loved, was it Garrett or Gilbert Garrett or something like that? The guy out of SMU, where he had a great pro day, completed all his passes. Everyone loved him because he came from a pro style offense.
Yeah,
that's the big reason.
And that's one of the weird discrepancies between college and the NFL, which creates a few problems with these top prospects that don't play pro-ready style offenses. I don't know. It's just going to be very interesting for me to see this Chicago pick because
if Williams is there, you have
to take him, even though it's not the best need, but that's going BPA. And, Ryan Pace, new GM of the Chicago Bears, saying he's going to go BPA. So got to take the best player available.
Has he said that?
I'm pretty sure he has. I don't think that I'm making that up. I'm pretty positive he said it.
I am putting you in the shoes of Ryan Pace. You ready? Let's say Williams is off the board.
Okay.
It comes to the 7th pick. Shane Ray, Danny Shelton. You have those two guys to pick from. Who do you go with? Because you've been a guy, you've been like me. Danny Shelton all the way through. But if, let's say, Shane Ray falls to 7, do you take Shane Ray? Because he would be BPA ahead of Shelton?
He would be BPA ahead of Danny Shelton. But you're in a tough spot. If I do want to go 100% BPA, I do take Shane Ray. Because that's the answer in that case. But for me personally, if I was making this decision, and you would know this from the past podcast, our final mock draft, how I feel about Danny Shelton. We have no one playing nose tackle. Danny Shelton can play nose tackle. We have a million guys playing linebacker. We don't need yet another outside linebacker, even though Shane Ray will be better than every single one of our outside linebackers day one.
And even though I've said through and through, if you're new to the podcast, I'm a Vikings fan living in the the Lions' den. Well, technically not the Lions' den, but I'm in enemy.
Detroit.
I'm in enemy territory per se, being a Bear country that I live in. And I will say, being a Vikings fan, totally disagree with Todd McShay about the Bears picks. At the very end of his description, he says, if Williams isn't available here, then wide receiver Kevin White would be the pick. No.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
No. Why is everyone saying the Bears need to go wide receiver? It's ludicrous.
It is
ludicrous.
To be fair, they could go wide receiver and it would not be a bad thing. But you are missing out on so many opportunities to fix that defense, which is horrible.
And you got to remember, and I was talking to one of my coworkers at work today who's a Bears fan. He reminded me of something. Yes, you guys lost Brandon Marshall, but remember, you guys signed Eddie Royal.
Yeah.
Eddie Royal's no joke.
No,
at the number 2 spot.
I mean, he's not the same type of position as...
He's not Brandon Marshall.
And he's not even Kevin White.
Yeah, no, he's nothing like that. But he's a quality number 2. He's a quality number 2 for Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
So... Elshon and Eddie Royal, if that's your 1-2,
should be able to get it done.
Plus, you still got Martellus Bennett at the tight end position.
And best pass-catching running back in the NFL,
Matt Forte. No, you do not need any more receivers. If you're John Fox, if you're Ryan Pace, you say, how do we get back to monsters in the midway?
It's funny,
how do we do that?
In McShay's explanation of his pick, where he does say, the Chicago Bears ranked 31st in the league in scoring defense. That's just not right. But if Leonard Williams isn't here, we're going to go take a run.
Yeah, it's stupid.
A wide receiver.
I'm just going to. Usually I don't use that, but it's stupid to say
defense.
Stick to defense. But if we keep going.
Now, this is nice to see, actually, with the Falcons taking Randy Gregory.
I was going to say that. I was going to bring that up because after all this time we've seen fall. Todd McShay at the very end goes, Randy Gregory right back up. Yeah. Closer to where he should be. In the end, only a 3-pick drop.
Exactly. That is nice.
Because at the beginning of this whole mock draft kind of process, he was number 5 to the Redskins.
Yep.
That's where we were putting him at.
Yeah, so this is definitely good to see. Good to see him bounce back up. And it's one of those things, too, where it just depends on the GM. How much does a little bit of this off-field issue, like how much do you weigh that? Is it really that bad? Are you okay? Are you willing to live with it? Because honestly, I still say... there's probably players on these teams that are doing worse things than this. Most GMs got to be aware of that. Randy Gregory, I love seeing him back up because him and Shane Ray are so close in talent level. So I think those guys got to be close. I mean, it's a shame if both of them fall.
Well, and like we said, I mean, you've got to get a linebacker, especially a guy who can play the Leo linebacker for Dan Quinn. You got to, because right now the Falcons don't have one. And they obviously need one. And the one pick that I am, I'm looking for an actual YouTube comment that we had on our last podcast. I was looking for the name of who said it. We're talking about the Rams pick now coming up. And the name was Carlin Fan for Life. And I wanted to bring him up because he actually mentioned this. And Todd McShay has the Rams going with what he said. Carlin Fan for Life was like, we need an offensive lineman. However, if let's say Brandon Sheriff goes before us, we need to take a wide receiver. Rams fans, St. Louis fans, you get Kevin White at 10, perfect. Just like you said, you're smitten.
Yeah,
you're obviously smitten.
The Rams really do need some offensive line help. They really do. But you know, we talk about the things that help the quarterback. You can either go get your running back, you can get offensive line, or you can get yourself a nice little target to throw to, whether it's a safety blanket tight end or a guy who's going to take it deep. With Nick Foles out there, Nick Foles has already proved he knows how to sling the ball. He knows how to score touchdowns, 7 of them in a game. So this is great. Kevin White's the speedster who can burn guys and get those touchdown passes. So I think this is a really good combination.
And just saying that you may be like, well, how does Nick Foles work with rookies? Last year, Nick Foles worked better with Jordan Matthews, the rookie, than the veteran Jeremy Maclin.
Yeah.
In Philly.
And plus, let's also remember, I know this isn't a rookie situation, but there's a certain guy, Cooper, who looked fantastic with Nick Foles out there. Nick Foles really made him something to where now
you're talking about Riley Cooper, not Amari Cooper.
Riley Cooper. That's a good point to make. Really, Riley Cooper, who somehow is still on the Philadelphia Eagles team. And I'm not talking about his scandal. I'm talking about the fact that he was just a nobody who suddenly became a real deal because he had Nick Foles throwing it to him all the time. So Nick Foles, surprised. I mean, he's not Peyton Manning. He's not Tom. Well, some would say he's the same as Peyton Manning, but he's not Tom Brady. You know, he's not Aaron Rodgers, but he can still make guys look pretty good out there. He's proven
he can.
That. So he'll work really well with Kevin White, a rookie wide receiver.
And I know this may be me jumping all over the place, but I kind of find it interesting with Todd McShay's mock draft. If we jump, I'm going past Trey Waynes. We've already said everyone and their grandmother, even me, going to be a Viking. Devonta Parker's going to be a...
He's sitting there right now being like, man, I got to buy a winter jacket.
He's going to be a Brown. The Saints are going to go whatever is the BPA at the outside linebacker in this mock draft. It's Beasley. I'm looking down the Texans at 16, wide receiver. They'll take Aguilar. I'm going 17 because... Todd McShay has Danny Shelton, a guy that me and you, in most of our mock drafts, personally, if we put one together, he'd be the top 7th pick.
Yep.
He'd go to the Chicago Bears at number 7.
And he's fallen.
However, he drops to 17. And I find this interesting because do the Chargers need a defensive lineman? Yes. But it's their 4th need. Yeah. There are 2 needs ahead of it. The first need and the second need that are just more prominent. They can take guys like Lael, #Superman Collins.
That's right.
They can take Andres Pete at 17. Those would be 2 guys that could help fill their number 1 need of protecting Phillip Rivers. But even more than that, the number 3 need. Todd Gurley's off the board. This has been a pick where everyone's like, you need a running back to help Phillip Rivers out. How do you pass up Melvin Gordon at 17? Yeah. How I know most of these mock drafts, especially at this point, is all shock and awe for guys like us to talk about.
For sure.
How can you sit there and think the Chargers are going to pass on Melvin Gordon if Todd Gurley's gone?
The only thing I will say about this, the reason why I think going off this, Todd Gurley is taken at 6 overall. The reason why I think the Chargers will not get him is because someone's going to trade above him. That's the only thing that makes sense because there's no way the Chargers pass on Todd Gurley or Melvin Gordon, whoever's on the board. Back. Yeah, they're going to get one of those top 2 guys if he's there. But in this case, if somebody the Jets take, doesn't matter. They take one of them. They're taking Gurley in this case. Somebody is trading up above the Chargers because everybody knows the Chargers are going to do it. They have to pull the trigger on this guy. So somebody has to, whether it's the Cowboys, the Browns could use one, whoever it is, even the Lions could do it, or the Cardinals.
Here's the 3 teams that I could see trading up. The top 3. Ravens, Cardinals, Lions.
Yeah.
And maybe, like you said, the Browns. If the Browns are at 19, so they may sit there and go, whatever. If you take him, great. If not, he'll probably fall to us because the Chiefs have their running game.
Yeah, Chiefs will be fine.
They have their running game all squared out. It's, to me, the number 1 team I could see is the Cardinals. Because I know Bruce Arians, defensive guy, but you got to be sitting there going, we need a running back.
Well, somebody's got to help Carson Palmer.
Yeah, we got to give this guy some help. We have to. And I mean, if you're the Lions are the least of these 3 teams I named to do it because they're a team that they can. Do they really need running back? Kind of, but it's not a huge need. The Ravens are number 2 because in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking, I know that in our mock draft, I said they're going to go cornerback, but in the back of your mind, you got to be saying, if the value's good, we need a replacement for Ray Rice.
Oh, definitely.
I know Bernard Pierce did a good job last year. Forsett did a nice job last year, but we need a replacement for Rice.
You had one of the best running backs. Now if you have the opportunity to get one of the best running backs, you got to go with it. You really do. And it's Melvin Gordon, home run hitter. He would be a great fit wherever he goes, especially one of these teams that does rely on the running back like the Ravens do. I don't know. it's interesting to me. It really is. Of course.
And just to throw it out there, Bernard Pierce, not with the Ravens anymore. He's in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
I had to double check that because I knew one of them. I knew one of them. Forsett or Pierce left. It was Bernard Pierce that went to Jacksonville.
For sure.
So he's not even there anymore. You just got Forsett.
No, I do like this. What we have going on here, Cameron Irving. I like Cameron Irving quite a bit.
To the Chiefs?
Yeah, to the Chiefs. Best center.
You got to protect Alex Smith.
And he can play I mean, he's a plug and play at the center, but he'll play tackle for you as well if you need that if you're in that situation where you need to play tackle instead. But yeah, I like that. You get your great we're gonna call him great, Jeremy Maclin, great free agent wide receiver. You got a good quarterback out there, Alex Smith.
Hopefully he can catch a touchdown for him.
Exactly. I mean, this is basically what you have. You got that wide receiver who's going to be good. You got the running back who's going to be good. The quarterback that's good. Now you have a great center there. You're just building up quite an impressive offense here. I like what the Chiefs would do if they do this. It's not sexy, but I like it.
What do you think about that next pick? The Browns going Malcolm Brown.
I like it.
Too redundant there? The Browns going with Malcolm Brown?
In the mock draft, I said it was going to happen. I mean, I do like it. Improve the defense. I mean, he's a very, very aggressive player. It's going to help out quite a bit. You could get... I don't know if this... I would say you could get something better with the way this draft has fallen out. And I'm actually trying to remember. Who did he have them take in the first... Devontae Parker, of course. Yeah. So they don't need the wide receiver.
So what they would do, what these two picks would do, is they're addressing their number one need at 12 with Parker being wide receiver. Then they're addressing their 5th overall need because I'm assuming Brown would play nose tackle.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they plug him in at the nose tackle.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not the best need, but I do like it a lot. It does give you a lot of flexibility.
Although, and here's something I'm going to throw out there. If you are the Browns, I'm putting you in the GM's shoes again,
I
Mark.
hope you ask me the question that I think you are, because then I got a good answer for it.
Are you going Malcolm Brown, fitting your 5th need of nose tackle? Are you going to go 4th need, outside linebacker, take Alvin Bud Dupree?
Oh,
Is that the question you thought I was going to ask?
I was wondering if you were going to let me take Melvin Gordon, because in that situation, I'm going to take Melvin Gordon.
No. For me, well, in this
I'm replacing Trent Richardson.
Really?
I would.
Well, Richardson's gone. He's been gone.
But yeah, I know. But I mean, we're still feeling the pain from that, what was it, 3rd overall? Trent Richardson? Yeah, we're still feeling that pain.
And they've got their committee of running backs. So, I was going to say Alvin Bud Dupree, because Dupree in McShay's draft here,
he's available.
He's not going until 22 to the Steelers.
It's extremely surprising, especially he's shot up.
I mean, in our mock draft, we remember
he was right away.
Follow him. I think it was Shakes NYG. Shakes Montana going with the Giants.
Yeah,
Alvin Bud Dupree.
And here's the reason why I definitely think I would like to go running back, because who knows what the quarterback situation is. We talk about that all the time, quarterback X. But yeah, you get a wide receiver who's going to be the real deal, because now you have a wide receiver. And then you replace, you had the running back by committee, but now you have a solid running back. You have one guy who's going to do it all. I love that, because I don't care who the quarterback is anymore. I got this. I also like Malcolm Brown in this situation, because I really do like Malcolm Brown as a defensive tackle. But when you have Alvin Bud Dupree up here, guy's fallen quite a bit. He'll be a really good player. He really will. He's going to be a guy who's going to put the pressure on, Big Ben, Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco. So, I mean, it is hard to kind of ignore Bud Dupree when you kind of don't really need the nose tackle position as much. So it probably is the smarter idea to go with
running back's
Dupree.
not even a top 5 need for them technically.
Oh, but
technically.
I think they could really use it. I think they would be... I just think it would make that offense so much better for a team that can never find a quarterback.
And the Browns, they fall into the same category of me as we talked about the Bears, where if you like a Zane Petty, a Brett Hundley, and later on you want to say, you know what? We can maybe convert them in a few years. Let Johnny Manziel have his fun.
There's no few years to do it. That's the problem, though. Chicago can pull that off.
Because they got Jay Cutler.
Yeah, Jay Cutler, you might hate the guy. You might think his face annoys you. But he is a guy who gets paid big boy money, and he can start. Johnny Manziel,
Tom Waddle put it perfect.
Nobody.
Tom Waddle put it perfectly when he said that compared to when Jay came in, the optimism about Jay taking you to the promised land has faded. Is Jay going to take you to a Super Bowl? Probably not. But he's going to do well enough until we find the guy to take his place.
Yeah. I mean, I can agree with that for sure. And for when you're in Cleveland, you don't have that situation. Because I mean, most people in Chicago now are pretty much, if they're not just adamantly, I hate Jay.
You do have McCown too.
Yeah, in Cleveland, yeah.
Or you were going to say the guys like me that hate Jay and the guys like you that like Jay?
Exactly.
Right?
Well, no, what I was going to say is the guys
You like Jay, right?
I do like Jay Cutler. He's the best quarterback option that we've had. He's the best quarterback our team's ever seen, actually. Check the record books.
Even better than Jim McMahon?
Way better. Jim McMahon was such an overrated quarterback. He just won a Super Bowl.
Won a Super Bowl.
Best defense, best running back.
Won a Super Bowl.
All time.
Won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, best defense, best running back all time.
Super Bowl. That ring, that tells the story.
If you put Jay Cutler on that team, he would win a Super Bowl too.
No, he'd throw too many INTs.
You put Luke McCown on that team, he'll win a Super Bowl. Or Josh, take your pick with your brother. But anyways, you have basically people who are, I will literally pay you to get this guy off my team. And then you have the other people who are like, okay, well, he's the best option right now. He's the stopgap. And that's what Waddle is saying right there. So in this case, yes, you have that. And I'm sorry. Johnny Manziel loses 3 games. Everybody in Cleveland is saying, next up.
Get him out.
Next up. I want to add yet another name to my list of quarterbacks on the back of my quarterback jersey. And, same thing's going to be with Josh McCown. He's going to lose a few games and people are going to go, what is going on? I thought we just got rid of this guy. Referring, of course, to Hoyer. I thought we just got rid of one of these guys who doesn't really do that well, just very average, loses games. So, I don't know. If you're Brett Hundley or something and you get drafted by Cleveland, you're sitting there going, well, my career's over.
And I'm going to jump ahead. 24th, we're going to skip ahead over the Lions. We're going to skip ahead to the Cardinals because they're another team, the Melvin Gordon watch.
Somehow pass him. Well, I had no idea how.
You know what? If, let's say, the Chargers say no, the Cardinals have to take him. That's what I feel.
Especially to pass up for a cornerback, which their defense is great. They don't really need another corner.
The cornerback is technically on NFL.com. The corner is their 5th top need. However, running back is 4, and their 1 and 2nd need, what they could do, and this is the debate, because Melvin Gordon, and I would even say Kevin Johnson are above these 2 guys. But maybe if you're not going to go running back, which to me, Melvin Gordon would be BPA at this pick.
For sure.
You can either go Eli Harold, outside linebacker, that Todd McShay has going to the Colts at 29, or a guy who seems to be rising, Eric Kendricks, inside linebacker, who's your number 1 need, UCLA. Why? I mean,
and people are going to complain.
That's if you're going to go need.
Yeah, people are going to complain those are reaches.
If you're going to go BPA, though, you go Melvin Gordon, man.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a top 5 need. I know you can say the same. There's people that are going to argue that Kevin Johnson, the cornerback, is the same thing, that, he's on my board, he's ahead of Melvin Gordon, but you're already stacked at the corner position, man. Your DBs are stacked with the Honey Badger, Patrick Peterson. You need a running back, man. You need
the problem you have here is simply that you already have a great defense and you haven't gotten to the promised land yet. So what are you missing? You're missing you've been missing a running back for a while. You've been missing something to make it easier for Carson Palmer to let those, I don't even know what they are at this point, fake knees that he has, to let them try and stay and survive 16 games. Never going to happen. But I do find it funny that Antonio Cromartie did good things for the Cardinals, but he's not that special. And they cite him and him leaving for the Jets in McShay's explanation here. Yeah, he cites that as the reason, but
you did lose your 2nd corner, but
he wasn't really that great.
It was more Patrick Peterson. It was the Patrick Peterson show with the Honey Badger.
It makes it easier. I mean, when you got Patrick Peterson, that makes it way easier, especially when, as Patrick Peterson will tell you, he follows the number 1 receiver wherever that guy's going. He's not going to be Richard Sherman staying in one spot. He's following anybody. So no matter what, the guy on the other side's got it easy.
Because remember, Mark, the Honey Badger don't give a shit.
He doesn't.
Doesn't give a shit.
He does not.
I just don't see how you do not take a run. You got to take running back there. You got to.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And I'm throwing this one out there. I feel like we have to mention it because we've had some YouTube comments saying, hey, can you talk about the Panthers? So we're going to throw it out there for our loyal listeners. This one's for WB. Eric Flowers to the Panthers.
Yep.
This one I got no problem with. I mean, you got to protect, if you're not going to take hashtag Superman Collins.
You wish you could get Superman Collins here.
To protect your Superman.
Yeah. God, imagine 2 Supermen on the same team. It's unbeatable.
And if you don't get if you're sitting there going, Mark, Ricky, why are you calling L. Collins Superman
He's
Collins?
Superman's brother.
Go ahead, Wikipedia Superman, look up his real name. I'll give you a hint. It has an L in it.
Yeah, this is his brother, basically. It would be.
And the letters are close to each other. K and L are
they
right
really
next
are
to each other.
For the Panthers, obviously, you go get that offensive line help. I do think there's not really a good option here. I still think they really need another good wide receiver because you can't rely on Kelvin Benjamin for everything. And we've already seen that Cam Newton really needs help because Cam Newton looks really, really good some games. And then you take away all his options and he starts looking bad. And people start thinking he was a bust at the first overall. And he's not. He's very talented. He's not the best, but he's very, very talented. He's not going to be the guy who's running around all over the place beating you with his legs anymore. He's a little bit older than that. He knows he needs to protect himself as he wears his, Kevlar jacket out there. So, yes, this is good because you are protecting him, letting him have time to throw the ball. But I still do want you to get a good wide receiver right away so you can get that number 2 option.
Let me throw out a conspiracy theory here. Mm-hmm. You ready?
Sure.
If Melvin Gordon is available at 25, I would almost put money on it that the Ravens are itching at the bit to be like, we're going to draft him. We're going to take Melvin Gordon. If I was the Panthers, you know what I would do if I'm sitting there at 25 and Melvin Gordon's on the board?
Call the Cowboys?
No, not the Cowboys. Both of them. The Ravens and the Cowboys. I'm telling them this. I'm saying we have a need of running back like you. You have until the timer's up. If you don't offer us anything good, we're taking Gordon.
You could do that.
You can have him if you want. Otherwise, he's ours. That's what I'm saying. Because the Panthers, yes, you do need an offensive lineman, but you also need a running back. Melvin Gordon could be a good running back for you.
For sure.
We do know that the Panther running back situation hasn't been anything since the Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams
You do
debacle
need some help
late.
at offensive line to make that run game a little better. I don't think the run game's going to be that effective in Carolina.
I'm baiting the Ravens or the Cowboys to say or just a bidding war. Because even if you trade with the Ravens, you can still get Flowers at this point at 26. And the Ravens, looking at their needs, they don't really need an offensive tackle. So even if you trade to the Cowboys, there's a great chance that Eric Flowers is still going to be there at 27.
Oh, definitely.
Because if Gordon goes 25, the Ravens will just say, screw it, let's go cornerback.
Yeah, and it's an interesting situation because for this one, you can draft the running back, but the Cowboys know for a fact Melvin Gordon is not going to get past.
They got a huge hole at them. I mean, they do still have Randall, who was a stud when he was with Oklahoma State, but he's no DeMarco Murray.
No.
He's no DeMarco.
And they know for a fact the Ravens are taking him. So, and that's interesting too, because the Ravens know if we don't get him, the Cowboys are going to take him. So if you're sitting there, you're calling up.
Oh, if I'm the Panthers,
saying, hey,
I'm trading that pick.
You're saying to the Cowboys, bidder. You know the Baltimore Ravens are going to take it. I know they're going to take it. I would rather have you go get him. You can get this right now. And then you're calling the Ravens saying, hey, Jerry Jones is on the other line. I got him on hold right now. And then he's ready to make this trade. What are you going to do?
I could just imagine, and honestly, to be honest, this kind of goes with another conversation they had this Monday on Waddle and Sylvie was they talked about how, like, when Scheffler and Clayton are talking to GMs, they were like, how many GMs just blatantly lie to you to throw you off the kind of scent? Because Scheffler even mentioned how he got fooled last year, where he was told something by some GMs that, oh, we may not take Blake Bortles. And he was like, hey, you know what? When you he was talking to the team at 10. I can't remember what it was. He was like, when you take Blake Bortles at 10, tell me I'm going to be the first to break the story. And I'm going to be huge. And then Bortles went 3, and he just said, I was just watching and said my story went to shit. Yeah. It just went bye-bye.
Oh, he was so disappointed with that, too. That would have been huge. It really would. But that's the thing. I mean, GMs are constantly throwing up smoke screens, and all these GMs know that there's people within that organization who have these media contacts who are just waiting for that time to feed them a little bit.
And they said, like, GMs don't blatantly lie, but what they will do is they will bend the truth. And they won't give you everything. You have to really read between the lines. But like we were saying, if I'm the Panthers, I would rather Gordon go to the Ravens because there's a chance I don't have to see him as much because he's in the AFC.
Sure.
Compared to the Cowboys who are in the NFC.
But you're telling both these guys, no. Yeah. I want you to get Melvin Gordon.
You're playing the game. Yeah. You're playing the game. But what about some of these last picks? What do you think? Let's say 28 through the end.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, of course, you have the people who are going to trade back and people who are going to trade up. Eric Kendricks, of course, shooting in here. We constantly see him for the Packers.
I mentioned him, Eli Harold. This is the first time we've said his name in a mock draft.
Which, I guess, I don't know. Devin Funchess, I believe, did not get taken.
Nope.
Here. He is I would rather have the Saints take Funchess over Philip Dorsett, because in this situation, they are replacing what they just lost instead of just getting a guy who's, wow, is he fast? You know, like you can't even believe it when you see him go by.
This goes back to a top 5 conversation we had, but can I read you my favorite comment below the mock drafts, like in the Facebook section?
Oh, yeah, sure.
This comes from, I got to say his name.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Mike Blitch.
Give him some credit.
Where he goes, Todd. Shane Ray over Leonard Williams at 5? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I could just see Kuiper just Todd. Oh,
I'm excited for this.
I just saw the Todd, and I started laughing in my head.
I got a question for you, Ricky.
Yep.
So, just a prediction now. When we're walking away after Thursday night, and we're all, text messaging, we're all on Twitter and all this, who do you think we're going to be talking about as, wow, these guys won? They did the best. Like, this team is set now. They are going places.
You ready for a bold prediction?
All right. Who's your Super Bowl prediction then, Ricky? Because I know it's coming.
The Browns.
Oh, yeah? Really?
They're winning the night.
That's interesting.
They're going to win the night. They're going to finally get it right. That kind of rhymed.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They've been, to be fair, you're a Cubs fan, but they've been saying they're going to finally get it right.
They're going to get it right this time. Mike Pettin's going to make sure they do. How about you? Who do you think we're talking about when it's all said and done?
Team I think we're going to talk about, I really do believe the Cowboys.
You really think so?
I think they are going to do what it takes, whether it's Adrian Peterson, whether it's Gordon, whether it's Gurley.
Do you really think we could see an Adrian Peterson draft day trade?
I think there's a possibility. I really think that the Cowboys cannot walk away from this draft without a running back. You do realize
they would have to give us Brandon Carr in their first.
Yeah. The Cowboys cannot walk away from this draft without a running back. They can't. They need somebody who they can plug in day one. They just have to make it happen. I don't care how. They have to make it happen.
There's only one way that trade happens. Only one way that trade happens. If it gets to the Cowboys pick and Melvin Gordon's still there and the Cowboys go, hey, Vikings, you can take Brandon Carr, our first. You get a little bit more.
Oh, in this case, I would just take Melvin Gordon.
But you know what? We really want AP. We want to bring him home. And here, you can get a running back too.
No, in that case, you take the young guy, without a doubt.
You don't take the most explosive running back in the NFL.
How many more years does he have left? Melvin Gordon, he's got a ton.
I know, but Melvin
Gordon, I got 7 years out of this
Gordon
guy.
is also a question mark. Adrian Peterson is a namesake.
He's
just
been
throwing it out there.
Been off what was it? 3 out of the last 4 years hasn't played.
However, the last time he took a year off, he came back and had the best year of his NFL career.
Can lightning strike twice?
It could.
I don't know.
Lightning can strike twice, especially in the NFL.
Really does not. Really does not.
Especially in the NFL.
So
it
we'll
can
see.
happen.
But I mean, I'm not saying that Adrian Peterson's. I think it's more likely that they trade up.
You love
get into the draft.
You love just pulling the conspiracy theories out of me.
Well, you're a conspiracy theorist for sure.
I am.
I'm saying it though. These guys, they have to get a running back. They know they need it. They know that's the only way they get to a Super Bowl. So they got to make it happen somehow.
Well, that is going to do it here for the onside kick. Make sure to tell us down below in the comment section what you think of either the Todd McShay mock drafts, our comments, what we talked about, what we didn't talk about, and what you want us to talk about, because next week is it's a sad time for us. It's the post-draft podcast.
It's all over.
The mock draft season's over, Mark.
It's post-draft depression time. So
as we get ready for... Have OTAs started yet? I mean, I haven't even noticed with all these.
No, they have not.
With all these mock drafts going on, I just love these mock drafts. But next week will be our NFL draft recap as we get ready for the eventual preseason at the end of this summer. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button. Hit us up at Facebook, facebook.com/MVP Sports Network. On Twitter at Most Valuable Pod. And if you're like, Ricky, where do I get all this content in one swoop? Just go to mostvaluablepodcast.com. It's that simple. Well, that's going to do it for the onside kick. I hope you guys had fun. I know me and Mark had fun recording this for you guys. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast.